Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan with a final video of the evening, a screenwriter's rant on Thunder Force, Hollywood's latest attempt to cash in on the superhero craze. And Joan's going to bark through the whole thing, so I'm going to pick her up. Okay. I told you, it's the last video. You couldn't calm down for one more video? I know. You have doggy things to do. So the trailer opens probably like the movie opens with this explosion, and then it says 4 weeks earlier. And the premise of the movie is Melissa McCarthy was best friends with I forget that actress's name, but she was her best friend, and then they had a falling out, and she shows up to, I don't know, rekindle their friendship somehow, and it turns out she's working on some kind of thing to give people superpowers, and of course Melissa stumbles into it and gives herself superpowers because, you know, that stuff's just sitting around. So she gets superpowers, although her friend already has them, and then they train and become superheroes, and then, you know, she's super strong, and then her friend can turn invisible. And so they are terrible superheroes, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's kind of not. You know, they're 40-year-old women as superheroes. Like, that's kind of the premise of the movie, I guess. And it's written like 40-year-old women wrote superheroes. They don't really understand the tropes. And at this point, it's so old. I mean, I'm sick of superheroes, and I used to read comics all the time. Is that Wesley Snipes? Kind of looks like him. I don't think it is. No, it's a different guy. Bobby Carnival, I think his name is the villain in this movie. And I guess he somehow gives them superpowers, so they'll have villains to fight. I don't know. This whole movie looks dumb. I guess he's super strong too because Melissa McCarthy's strong, and then she throws a bus, and I don't know why. It's just, I don't know why. And people are screaming on the bus, I guess, and I guess they all die. I mean, and then Justin Bateman makes a cameo as a guy with claws. What the heck is going on? I don't get this movie. I don't get the movie at all. I know he was in a movie with Melissa McCarthy, so I guess they're buddies, and you know, she's giving him work, but he's doing well. I mean, he's doing the Ozarks, which I hear is a good thing. But this just looks dumb. It just looks dumb. It looks boring and derivative and not exciting at all. And this is coming from a guy who reads superheroes. Like, you could make a movie about 40-year-old women who get superpowers, but this isn't it, man. You know, part of the problem is you got caught up in the origin story too much. There's way too much of that. I could tell just from the trailer. There's way too much of the origin. And it should be all about what 40-year-old women normally do. And then they get superpowers, and they kind of try to continue to do that. But the superpowers, you know, if that's going to be the premise of the movie, 40-year-old women as superheroes, like, it should be what do 40-year-old women do, right? If they're single, they're still looking for love. They go to book clubs. I assume they go shopping and own too many cats. I mean, you know, there's a bunch of tropes there you could exploit for comedy, and this is not doing that. You know, Bobby Carnival, I think that's his name, right? He always plays a heavy 9 times out of 10, or a scummy guy. But overall, I don't think he has the weight to be a villain. You know, you really need a good villain to make superheroes work. You just do. For comedy, especially, yeah. You need a guy who's a little more serious. Bobby's good, but he's not evil enough. He's just not evil enough. So I don't see this movie working at all. I wouldn't watch it. It just Melissa McCarthy, I've seen her when she's good. She's like a lot of people in the business. If she gets a great script, she's great. She gets so many terrible scripts though. And it's funny because she is like the star since like 3 years ago, right? She's like in everything because Hollywood has decided from on high to promote women who are older and heavy set, like that's a thing. So, which is fine, whatever. I'm happy for her. She's talented. She's not untalented, but man, I wish she'd get a good script. She was in that movie where she plays the woman who forged all the writers' letters, and it was a really good movie, and she's great in it. But in most movies, she has terrible scripts. These are supposed to be comedies, and they're not funny. This is only like it's like a Saturday Night Live sketch that doesn't quite get going, and these people think they're way funnier than they are. They need something much funnier. Something much more funnier. Either comedians or just a good script. I have a good script for Melissa McCarthy. I do. She'd be perfect for the role. She's actually too young for the role. They'd have to age her up a bit, but that would be easy, and she'd be great for it. But it's so hard for I think actors to get scripts that are really right for them because studio heads are idiots and they're terrible at that. There's very few with vision. There's a handful that have vision, but most of them are just relentless careerists who want to make tons of money, in my view. I mean, you look at Kathleen Kennedy. I think she's a prime example of someone who is really good at making money but terrible at making creative decisions. I think she's just made one horrific creative decision after another. And she should not be making the creative decisions at all. She should be guiding them. Maybe, when a producer makes a creative decision, I think it should be based partly on the logistics and pragmatic, things within the studio. Like, that costs too much money. We can't do it. Like, that, to me, is something a studio exec or a producer should say. No, we can't do that. It's too much money. Or when somebody is obviously being so indulgent, you got to just pull the leash. But in terms of what should be fun and funny and creative, they shouldn't have any input. Zero. Because they don't know. They're ensconced in this world of money, and they don't have their finger on the pulse of what is funny or cool or anything. And it's very hard to do now. It wasn't as hard back in the 80s when people watched TV and there weren't that many channels. We were all kind of in sync. Now there's too much internet. And these guys look at Twitter and think, that's the internet. No. That's 1% to 2% of the population in the United States at best, on its best day. And really, everybody hates Twitter and everybody hates people on Twitter. So they should not be listening to Twitter. They could listen to almost any other, even Facebook would be better. Facebook's pretty bad too. Twitter's just the worst. When they dumped the porn off of Tumblr, it all went to Twitter. And that's not the pulse of the nation. The edgy stuff, it's on Gab. It's on places like Gab. It's on BitChute. It's on Rumble. It's on MeWe and Locals and all these other alternative sites that most of which I'm on, but there's not as many people on there. Parler, even, Twitter. It's for the. I'm still seeing people new to Twitter. That's the craziest thing. When you see somebody, I'm new to Twitter. What is this all about? Like, oh God, get off of Twitter right now. And like Facebook now, like your grandparents are on Facebook. Like, who the hell wants to be on Facebook with all these old people? No offense, us. But you gotta find something new, Hollywood, some other way to find out what's cool. Like Reddit was cool for a few years. That would have been a good spot. Now it's all full of communists, but for a few short shining moments, it was great. So anyhow, Thunder Force. Would I watch this? Not on a bet. Not on a bet. Not if you get me $1,000 would I watch this thing. It looks awful. It doesn't look funny. It looks like they spent all the money on the effects and none on the jokes. And the jokes that I've seen in this are kind of lazy and not that great. Just not that great. And this just looks dumb. The guy with the claws. So that's it. That's it for tonight. Me and Joan. We're gonna call it a night. Maybe I'll wet vac again before I go to bed. Wish me luck on the basement. I'll see you tomorrow.